Foxconn is going to spend a tremendous amount of money on building a massive plant, and probably more than one. So that's what we want. We want people, we want to start making our products again. We don't want to bring them in, we want to make them here. And that doesn't mean we don't trade, because we do trade. But we want to make our products here.
President Donald Trump pushing his America First platform this morning, commenting on reports that Taiwan electronics maker Foxconn may build a $7 billion display-making plant right here in the United States. You know, the fact is a lot of foreign companies could be lining up to build in America. I think the caveat is if Donald Trump can make it attractive to do so. Again, here to discuss, Heather Higgins and Jillian Meltzer. $7 billion from Foxconn. We should remind the audience, this is the company that essentially makes the iPhones, the Samsung phones. And you know, it's been an economic miracle. They've gone from nothing to one of the biggest manufacturers in China.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a company that's brought in a lot of migrant workers in China. It's part of China's shift from rural areas to urban areas. But I think the challenge here is that in China, you do have cheap labor. You do have a lack of safety in labor in many aspects. And it's going to be tough for the U.S. to compete with that. I think the focus is going to be on creating economic conditions that foster that competition, rather than trying to pull them over here by a subsidy, because that's something that comes at the expense of local businesses.
Well, I think some of these businesses are starting to negotiate with Donald Trump in public, Heather, similar to the way he's negotiating with them. Remember Bayer saying with Monsanto, you know, pass this thing, we'll do business with you, we'll bring more business to America. We've heard the automakers kind of saying, hey, if you can get rid of some of these CAFE standards, it'll make us easier for us to compete. So I understand that part of it. But the notion of $7 billion and perhaps 50,000 jobs is amazing to me.
It really is extraordinary. But it's also a testament to Trump's, dare I say it, political skill, right? He understands the impact that he can have at this juncture by simply a tweet. And companies like Apple and Foxconn are smart enough to want to get ahead of the curve on this stuff. They don't want to be taken to the woodshed for not doing this, so they are coming out advance of the game to at least lay out in broad concept, even though there aren't any specific plans yet, what they might be doing. So they're on the right side of the ledger for PR purposes and to inoculate themselves, hopefully, against the wrath of the president.
So here we have foreign direct investment in America peaked 2008, $310 billion. I think it was 2014, it was $100 billion. Think about that. If there's a way to lure $100, $200 billion of foreign money into investing in America, isn't that a game changer? Yeah,
it absolutely is. And again, I think we do this by making a more competitive regulatory environment. I mean, if you look at Pennsylvania in particular, one of the things that Foxconn said would be important to them is cheap energy. Pennsylvania is a state that's pursued renewable energy at sometimes the cost of affordability. And so those are the kind of policies
you don't like the subsidies, though.
Change. No, I don't.
Because subsidies would play a major role. Elon Musk, who has gotten very close, it appears, with Donald Trump, he was at the meeting today. He just built this gigafactory, and it's just the first phase. This thing is going to be one of the most the ultimate factory in the world, but he's gotten a ton of government subsidies. Some call it government welfare. Yep. I mean, is that something Donald Trump, you don't think he should consider that?
I'm not a big fan of that approach, and here's why. I think in this election we've seen a lot of frustration with big corporations, with that sort of establishment mentality. And I think that it would be a misstep to give incentives to the companies that are big enough to come, because ultimately it is taxpayers that are funding that in many instances, and it's also local businesses that aren't getting the benefit of that boost.
But it's not that government has a terrible track record. If you look at their investment
So do you feel then simply 15% corporate tax, jettisoning 75% in regulations, that's the ultimate one-two punch, not only for American businesses, but to lure some of that foreign cash here, too?
Right. I'm a great believer that economic returns, that prices and profits really are a marker for a successful idea that's really needed. If it's a really good thing, then you should not necessarily need those subsidies. Particularly, sometimes you even have regulations and subsidies that lock in technology at a particular level without letting it really advance to where it becomes successful. So letting markets work again, really, and letting that creativity flow, which is what made this country so great in the first place, that's what we really need to get back to.
I hope they do it. I got a feeling they will. Also, we didn't talk, being close to their customer, right, because they're going to be selling these display units mostly to Americans. Ladies, thank you both very much.